Charged up is really like, it's like a mantra. It's a mindset where it's really about keeping your energy high when your friends or when people around you may feel down or discouraged, or they need to be pushed and reminded of, who they are, whatever the mission is at the moment. You got to recharge each other. It's like a battery. So that kind of, there's really been the mindset, not only myself, but my closest friends over the last 20 years since we were kids, is to just keep that energy, keep that, just keep our staying in perpetual motion.
Welcome to America's Healthiest City. I am your host, Will Melton. We are airing this on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. I am here today at the flagship Charged Up store in downtown Richmond with Noah O, Virginia hip-hop artist, music label owner, entrepreneur, and community builder. Noah, thank you for being on the show with us today.
No, thank you for having me, Will.
So for those of you who have not tuned into this show before, America's Healthiest City is a 10-year community partnership to make Richmond the healthiest community in America by 2033. If you have not been to the website, please check out americashealthiestcity.com and check out our ideas board. Leave comments on the ideas that have been submitted. Submit your own ideas. And if you represent a business, a nonprofit, a government institution, or a nonprofit entity, please consider becoming a ambassador today. It doesn't cost a thing, and it allows us to move toward our goal in a faster way, in a more effective way. So without further ado, Noah, thanks for coming on the show with us today, and welcome to America's Healthiest City.
Thank you.
So I want to start out this show every time trying to understand whether folks have been here in Richmond since they were born, or if they came to Richmond at some point in the past. So do you mind sharing first and foremost that detail?
Well, I was born in San Francisco, California. My father was a native of Richmond, so I grew up. He met my mother on the West Coast, so I grew up in San Francisco and in another city called Daly City in California till I was 12. And then when I was on the way to 7th grade, turning 13, that is when I moved to Richmond. But I moved to like Henrico County, Brook Road area. I bounced all around school-wise in Henrico, but I consider Richmond to be my home. Both places, that's why we have this VA to the Bay in the background, but yeah, Richmond is home.
So I want to talk about your background, both professional and personal. I know that your grandparents moved to the United States from the Philippines after World War II or during World War II. Mm-hmm. So you have Filipino roots. Can you talk a little bit about that experience, growing up in a Filipino household, and how that has influenced what you're doing today?
Well, I mean, it influenced everything. I didn't realize how much like my worldview was shaped by, growing up just in the same households as them, and just like some of the values that were passed down, things like family, and it's kind of like I didn't realize how foreign it was to other people until I became an adult, and how I interact with others. It's just more like a village mentality, like a family mentality. I always grew up in a household, whether it was like my mom, my father, cousins, uncle, grandparents, and even when family members would move out, it seemed like we'd always have somebody else moving in. So as I got older, I realized like other people and other families may have more of like an individual mindset or structure where, when people become adults, they want to get out on their own, and it's not, to some people that may be foreign, where, how can I say, they think like that's a weakness, right? Like, oh, why is this person still at home? But I've noticed like in other ethnicities, especially people who come from other countries, it's where you leave when you're ready to start your own family, or when you have a household you're going to set up of your own, and it actually strengthens. To me, it strengthens everybody. Everybody's chipping in, everybody's able to save their resources and collectively come together But you know, like on my father's side, my father's mother's side is actually they're like English. They're English like Americans, right? From the first people that were native who came to Virginia from England. So I have like that part of my family too. So when I was born, my last name was actually James. So I can like trace my lineage on my dad's mom's side to like the first like people who came to Virginia from England, and my dad's side they're actually from Sicily. So not only like did I have like Filipino side, but from my dad's side, it's like I'm Italian as well. So it's just like a family mindset. Even how I interact with others to this day, I think has a lot to do with my heritage or the values I was exposed to from both of those sides.
Well, my wife's family is Italian, and there's a big communal aspect to their family for sure. They
Yeah.
stick really close together. I think that's a trait that you carry into your life outside of family and community building. I want to talk about that in a minute, but I want to start into music. You are a hip hop artist. You have a style that is unique to you. You're well known in Virginia and beyond. Tell me a little bit about your music, your style, and what motivates you to be able to drop a track in half an hour.
Oh man, that's funny. Um, when I was a kid, the things that attracted me to hip hop, I think that resonated with me the most were artists who I felt like they were not only speaking to me, but like they were speaking for me, right? There's things in their music felt relatable to my own personal experiences. I know, other people may have been drawn to like music for different reasons or hip hop music. So for me, it wasn't so much like, the bragging or the party aspect of rap music. It was like the really like the struggle or the hardships that I seen, rappers like Tupac or Nas speak on. So as I got older and started to find my own voice within hip hop, that really helped shape my style to where, I just it's almost like a form of therapy, right? Like especially among Filipinos and other minorities, or I could say really for Filipinos or Asians, like there's this concept of like or mindset of being like a model citizen, right? You come to America, you just be quiet, keep your head down, and go home to your family. And you don't speak up. So things like really talking or just talking about your feelings or how you're feeling, I never really witnessed that growing up, right? Like within my household, things that are commonplace today, I think, or less taboo now, where people are encouraged to speak about their feelings or how you're feeling. Let's do a wellness check or mental health. Like those types of questions are common now, but back when I was growing up, or just even as little as 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't common. So the music became a way that I could express like how I was feeling, what I was thinking. Um, I think without that, I would have probably been a lot different person. It's an outlet. I think for a lot of people, especially if like people have been oppressed or growing up around certain circumstances, the music is a way to get those emotions out, as opposed to go out, and do violence to another person or act out in because all of your emotions are bottled up. So when people listen to my music, I I believe it's like an accurate window into who I am. I may not speak about things in person or like vent about what I'm thinking about online, but if you listen to my music, it is it's a window or a glimpse into who I am as a person.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. We are here with Virginia hip hop artist Noah O. And I want to talk about Charged Up. Charged Up is a record label. It is the name of your flagship store. You reference it as a movement in your music. Can you tell me a little bit about what Charged Up means? How did that come to be? And how's that kind of leading your legacy?
So back when I was first starting out rapping, I was part of a bigger collective that was called Villain Faith that was started by a gentleman named MP Marlon Poindexter. He's now passed away, but he was from Mosby Court. But he took me in as a teenager and kind of like guided me, right? Like he's African American, but he accepted me, you know, being Filipino. I'm a Filipino and Italian. I'm from Henrico. He's from Richmond, from the projects. But he recognized, like, I guess my talent, not only my talent, my sincerity as far as approaching music, but he's the one that actually came up with that phrase. And I, along with some other teenagers, we were like a group, but he would always tell us we were charged up, right? Like he had his own slang. He'd say, instead of like you guys are hype or you're full of energy, he would just say it over and over. So when that collective kind of split apart, I took it upon myself to tell my peers, like, look, we're gonna start our own movement. Let's start our own thing. It only makes sense we call it Charged Up after, you know, what he called us. So Charged Up is really like, it's like a mantra. It's a mindset where it's really about keeping your energy high when your friends or when people around you may feel down or discouraged, or they need to be pushed and reminded of, you know, who they are, whatever the mission is at the moment. You got to recharge each other. It's like a battery. So that kind of, there's really been the mindset, not only myself, but my closest friends over the last 20 years since we were kids, is to just keep that energy, keep that, you know, just keep our staying in perpetual motion. You know what I mean? Like life can be very discouraging. Um, you know, even having a dream, it's something that can come and go, but charged up, staying charged up, and having that as a mindset became a way for us to continue going all these years. So, you know, to anyone who's asking, that's really what it is. So when you have throughout hip hop, there's always been like the biggest artists, I feel like, that were bigger than just a song or a moment. They had movements. You have people like Wu-Tang Clan, Rough Riders, Cash Money, and we wanted to really emulate those guys like movements in what we were doing. So part of that is having like not only a mindset that the mission or movement stands for, but also like a powerful logo. So, you know, that's just something we're trying to do in Richmond, what we've seen, you know, done by like bigger guys from New York or LA growing up in, or New Orleans. So that's really what Charged Up is. It's a homegrown movement from Richmond, Virginia, and it's just about, you know, staying on course, staying on your mission, you know, staying charged up.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think I can take a lot of lessons from that. I've been a busy person in my life, but it is fraught with challenges that can be discouraging, and I appreciate that. So you talk a little bit about music as an outlet. You know, that's how you started. Maybe it's what keeps you going. How can you see hip hop influencing positive change in the community?
Shoot, man, like, you know, this store here is a prime example. You know, this store, we're here in the Charged Up flagship store. This wouldn't exist without hip hop culture, without hip hop music. You know, a long time ago when I was a wee little lad, I dreamed of something like this, you know, and hip hop is what inspired me to do it. Again, seeing guys, you know, people like Master P or, you know, Tupac and Biggie, whoever, Jay-Z, these people already charted a path and showed us the heights of where hip hop can be, you know. Hip hop culture arguably is like the biggest culture and money maker within pop culture right now. You know, hip hop is in TV commercials. It inspires the way we dress. It moves product. It influences how, you know, sports franchises design their uniforms. So I believe that can even be replicated on a local level, you know, and that's what I've set out to do. Where it's like, you know, maybe I haven't sold 1 million records, but if I can impact, you know, Richmond has 1 million people. If I can impact my community, I could still reach 1 million people. And that, again, that wouldn't have been without hip hop. Hip hop is what kind of sparked that in the first place.
So as you think about you know, music in a broader context, you know, how do you see music addressing social issues and promoting wellness in RVA?
Oh man, yeah. you know, RVA and beyond. Again, like some of now we're in a time where things like healthier living, clean eating, not only that, financial literacy, people are being exposed to concepts like these within hip hop. And from the beginning, hip hop again has been a way to for artists to kind of be a voice for their community, address the inequalities, things that are going on. But I think hip hop is always going to be a mirror of society. It can influence society, but it can also reflect like some of the conditions. So these things are big issues right now, like food deserts. Again, like people not having access to healthier alternatives in any low income neighborhood. It's hard to find a grocery store or like just good food, organic food, healthy food, but there's always chips and soda, alcohol, and tobacco. So I think like people are aware of it in these communities. It's just about how can these things be addressed, And I think like in America, America is a capitalist society. It takes money and influence to affect change. Hopefully, if there are other artists out there or people who have access to these resources, they can kind of address these. I mean, it just sucks that sometimes, like in hip hop, kind of the lowest common denominator, the low level frequency and messages that are pushed. I say people gravitate towards that. It's a lot easier to comprehend when people are frustrated and broke. They're not thinking, how can they change it? They're gonna lash out. But again, if there's people who are aware of these issues, yeah, I would encourage people to speak on it and push for change. And how can we address some of these things? How can we make things more accessible and in turn make this a healthier place? You know what I mean? Like um, starts sometimes I think the main thing is it starts with money and access. Once those can be addressed, then people will think, broader and like, okay, what am I putting in my body? How can I make healthier choices? But it's kind of hard, when I interact with a lot of young people. There's a lot of people just trying to survive, and they're not even aware of what can be done to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you said that kind of when you were starting out, vulnerability wasn't a big part of the hip hop scene, and that's starting to emerge.
Yeah.
You're kind of talking about how hip hop is a reflection of broader society, and we're kind of experiencing this awareness and empowerment around social issues.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's happening today?
I think the internet has a lot to do with it. The internet is exposing people to more information, more alternative points of view. There's not only one narrative now, whereas in the past, like there may have only been, print, TV, and radio to get voices heard or thoughts heard. Right now, people can get on the internet and be exposed to a variety of opinions, of thoughts, information. I know the internet has a lot to do with it. So, I mean, it's good. Yeah, I think it's good. It's waking people up, or at least exposing people to other, alternatives. To think about these things that maybe they wouldn't have thought about.
Let's see. So on city life stress, I want to talk about that a little bit. We're kind of packed in here a little bit. We have interactions with folks on a regular basis. Music is an outlet if you're an artist. Music is an outlet if you're a fan or a listener. What other resources have you found in this community that have empowered you, or have you seen them empower other people in addressing some of those stressors?
Stressors personally, or
just in general? I mean, city life stress, I think.
Yeah. Man, just keeping to me the best thing is to keep a circle of, or a network of people you can reach out to. When you have friends, associates, that gives you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to. That's the purpose of knowing people. You may not know the answer at the moment to address whatever the issue is, whether you're going through something personally. So I just advise to don't isolate yourself. Whatever you're going through, these can be tough times, difficult times, times of change. So you have friends, associates, reach out to those people, and they hopefully within that group of people you can find the answers or at least be pointed in the right direction. If your friends don't have the answer, sometimes I'd say is just assess who you associate with the most, and if it's not helping you grow or become a better person, or then maybe reassess that. But yeah, keeping good people around you is important in these times.
So sounds like community is a big theme of what you're up to. I know that you are working on a big thing coming up for the community in RVA Rappers Delight, which
Oh
is
yeah.
on August 11th at the Hippodrome. Give us a little bit of a background on how this came to life and what folks can expect when they come to that show.
Well, first, shout out to Shaco Records and the Symbol, but RVA Rappers Delight is a hip hop show going down at the Hippodrome Theater, which is a historical theater in Jackson Ward, Richmond, Virginia. Anthe Symbol is a hip hop producer here on Shaco Records, and he really like spearheaded this whole thing where he curated an event where he brought together several artists in the Richmond area. I myself, Nicholas F is headlining, Radio B, Repeton, and Kane, and it's also hosted by Mike Street. He's a well-known DJ in the area. He kind of helped push the bar forward as far as or raise the bar as far as hip hop being on the radio in Richmond, Virginia, and Hip Hop Henry is DJing. So to anyone out there, like if you've never been to a rap show, I say in Richmond, VA, this is a good start. These are all artists on this bill who are working, just continuing to make a name for themselves, and we've all been, I think, doing our part over the last years to make Richmond a better place and a more known place when it comes to hip hop.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1. We're here with Noah O, and we're talking about RVA Rappers Delight, which is a celebration of 50 years of hip hop coming up on August 11th at the Hippodrome. Tickets are available at shacorecords.com. Tell me a little bit about where you see music going in the future, and maybe more specifically your music as you've been releasing records and evolving as an artist.
Man, I think where am I going? I'm always thinking like long term, bigger, right? Like so, this store is just the first, hopefully, of many. In addition to music, like I'm always thinking, how can I make just things bigger? Maybe expanding, just first of all getting this to run better, but just continuing to put out great products like clothing, products for Charged Up, as well as albums. I have few albums already done. Hopefully one may be coming this year. I know I have one coming next year, but I think with hip hop, the sky's the limit. Hip hop is still young. It's only 50 years old now, and what we're witnessing in like hip hop cultures is starting to split into like subgenres. Like rock and roll has already had that moment where you have alternative rock or classic rock, death metal, punk. That moment after 50 years is just starting to happen with hip hop, where you may have artists who are more socially conscious, or you may have artists where when you hear their music you just want to rage, which would be like being at a metal show. Hip hop is still in its infancy, I say, or teenage stages at this point. So really, sky's the limit. I think there's going to be more artists in this area, maybe doing just continuing to push the bar for it. We have several artists now that are from here that are signed on major labels. You have artists like myself who are not only showing what you can do with the music, but open up businesses in our community. And I for myself, that's like the goal is how can not only I continue to push things forward, but be able to empower others, open more businesses in my community, and show people like you could, whatever you want to do, you can do it. You just gotta work really hard and put out the hottest rhymes on earth. You can't do it if you're not dope. But I'd say that's a big thing too. Like, just do your best. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just continue to keep things going, open more businesses, put more people on. But yeah, this is just the beginning.
Stay charged up.
Staying charged up forever.
So as we look to empower the rest of this community to usher in a more vibrant community, can you share maybe an idea that we might add to the ideas board, big or small, that other folks might consider taking up to make a difference?
This is a hard one.
Or maybe if you want to recommend somebody who you know in the community who's doing good work that we could reach out to and have them come on the show, that might be a good alternative.
I could start there. I say speak. Do you know Mark Cheatham, Cheats Movement?
Mm-hmm.
Have you spoken with him?
I haven't spoken with him yet, no.
Yeah, Mark Cheatham is a good guy. He's helped my career throughout the years. I just met him when he was just like taking pictures at rap shows. This was like over 10 years ago. He would take pictures and he started writing blogs, started doing a little podcasting, got into politics, and we become friends throughout the years. I think Mark is a good person, especially like when you talk about things like how to make this area a better place, a healthier place. Like Mark is a good person, and he's from hip hop as well. So I think Mark Cheatham, Cheats Movement, is a good person to speak to as far as people who are helping push the Central Virginia community forward. As far as ideas, man, I don't know. I hate to say it, but I say just talk to people. Again, yeah, that's my big thing. Talk to people, meet people, go to places where you haven't typically been. I know for myself, things didn't grow until I grew as a person and started networking in different circles, doing the things that made me feel uncomfortable. So if you stay in your comfort zone, you're gonna get what you always get. And if that's what you want for your life, that's perfectly fine. But if you wanna grow, you have to do things that'll make you uncomfortable and sometimes painful.
And because we want to make sure people can get in touch with you out there in the world,
Yes, sir.
before we go out, can you let folks know where they can find you online and your different businesses?
Yeah, you can find me online at Charged Up Noah O on all social media platforms. That's charged up like a battery, Noah like Noah's Ark, the letter O. You can also visit our website, chargedupent.com. And if you're in the Arts District, Jackson Ward area, come see us, 106 West Broad Street. We're here near the corner of Broad Street and Adams. But yeah, just look up Charged Up Richmond on Google or Safari, whatever browser you use, and you'll see us pop up, whether it's my page or the company pages.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
This has been America's Healthiest City on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. We are here with No O today, and please check out chocorecords.com and get your tickets to RVA Rappers Delight on August 11th at the Hippodrome. Check out americashealthiestcity.com too and see the ideas that are over there. Leave your comments. Thanks for joining us today. Noah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Peace.